In the quiet moments before the world wakes up, there's a place where pain meets peace, where every breath feels like a prayer and grief stands still. We carry the weight of what was and search for meaning in the smallest things. And sometimes all it takes is one moment to remind us we're still here, still healing.
All right, you guys know who it is. This is Tony Lynch, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. You guys know what we do. We have conversations with people from across the world that actually are out here changing people's lives one heartbeat at a time. And if it's your first time tuning in, do me a favor, head on over to that YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, so you'll be notified every time that we drop a new episode. And as always, if you know anyone who could benefit from the conversations that we have, please share this along with them. Now, without further ado, I'm going to bring on my next guest, Dr. Lisa Thompson. Dr. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's so great to be here with you, Tony.
Yes. I'm excited. I'm really excited. So how was your holidays? How was, are you excited for New Year's?
I don't have any big plans for New Year's. So, we're going to see what happens tonight. But as far as the holidays, it was definitely a different one this year than it's been.
Yeah, this is very true.
Yeah,
True.
And I know we'll talk about that, but I just recently became an empty nester. And this was the very first year that neither of my kids was with me for Christmas. So
How are you holding up on that? Because I know sometimes it could be very difficult.
Yeah, fortunately, I was able to go to a Christmas party with some new friends that, I had just met. So all my other friends, they're out of town or they were sick. So this year didn't feel as much like Christmas.
I think that it's because of the state of the world that we're in today, right? There's a lot of things going on that is just crazy out here. And, it's one step at a time now. It's like we're going down into the crevice, and now we have to start building up those stairs in order to get back up to we are, or at least to try to find some sort of balance in the world, right? And the way that people are reacting to it, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're reacting in such a way to where it can be really tricky to navigate and things like that. Now, before we get into too deep of a conversation, introduce yourself to the audience. So tell people who you are, where you're from, and about the work that you do.
Okay, well, I actually currently live on the Big Island of Hawaii. I'm originally from Olympia, Washington, but I've been here on the island for 5 years, just had my 5-year anniversary. And I am a multidimensional awakening healer, coach, teacher. And so I help people tap into their highest potentials of reality. And I am on your show as well because I lost my husband September of 2023. And that was quite a journey in terms of the grief, the healing, and having connection from the other side after his passing. And so I just wrote my newest book, which is about that journey, called Through Loss and Delight. And I look forward to talking to you about all the things spiritual and grief.
Yes. Well, let's dive into it. What was your aha moment after navigating the world of grief that you said, I could take this and use it in a way to help others? Because I love your approach to it, helping people see it from a different perspective, having such a deeper connection with the people that they love, right? But also to help them find an enlightened conscience as they begin to heal through that, and actually find their meaning in that journey. So what was your aha moment that made you say, you know what, this makes sense to me?
Well, what's interesting is I have been on a deep personal spiritual journey for almost 40 years, since I was 13. And even though a lot of what I was learning was more like theoretical, this actually gave me the real life experience of having someone that I love deeply on the other side that was coming through and sharing messages and just showing me signs, synchronicities all the time that he was still there.
Yeah.
And so really when I'm teaching about being multidimensional, and we have all these parallel lifetimes at the quantum level, and this made it real. Like this physical costume, this avatar that we're wearing, it is simply just that. It's a costume. It is not who we really are. And so our soul, our essence, our energy, it never dies. And that connection is always there. We can connect with all of our loved ones from the other side.
And see, and I totally agree with that. I totally agree because energy doesn't dissipate, right? It just spreads out.
Yeah.
And so I think that goes into a lot of the terminology that people may say, like, oh, I can feel my loved one being here, is because the energy is still there. What do you think is the biggest challenge between people understanding that the difference between the flesh and the spirit, right? Because we grieve and mourn the flesh,
We do.
we grieve, because we miss that presence of those individuals, and a lot of times we will get stuck in the present, in missing the 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 physical aspect of them, right? And we totally neglect the other aspects. And and I have a few theories on that, and I could be right or wrong about it. I don't really know, but it's as if um it's as if we're afraid to let them go in the physical sense in order to allow ourselves to connect with them on such a level. And I think a lot of that is because most of our journey is dictated by the emotions that we produce along the way, right?
Yeah.
And the mentality is easy to get stuck up in there instead of saying, you know what, maybe I can have something more if I learn to navigate this part right here, because I believe that it adds to a person's essence when those things happen. And half the things that we go through, I don't wish on no one. I really don't. And I'm pretty blessed and privileged to have been able to walk that path. And it's not been easy, but it's been interesting to say the least, and very educational. But again, everybody's perception about it is going to be a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, for me, being on this deep spiritual journey, even though, again, like I understood certain concepts and the idea that, the energy doesn't die, we are infinite beings.
Mhm.
I'm also very human, right? And
Right.
having Skip and I were together for 8 years, and he was the love of my life. After two kind of not great marriages, I did deep dive healing on myself, met him, and I, for the first time in my life, felt the true love and support that I hadn't
Mm.
felt. And so being with someone for 8 years, like every day, and he was my best friend, we had each other's backs. And so the grief of that, in this physical human reality, that was
Mhm.
definitely something that I had to navigate in a different way so I could understand it spiritually. But then I was also in my human, and I had to move forward in my life, right? I had to
Mm.
make the baby steps. I had to clear out his stuff. I had to figure out, who am I now? Like it was an identity shift, because now
Mm.
no longer
Yeah.
am I this wife to him, this partner. Now, what do I want to do with my life? And it made things real in terms of, we never know when it's our time to go. And even though he chose his exit point, he did take his life. We never know individually, if we're going to get in an accident or get some disease, or, have that moment where we can't just take it anymore, and we do end our life. And
Mm.
so for me, it was like, okay, well, I need to fully live my life. I have another good 50 plus years of life left. I just turned 53, and I'm like, I'm still young. I still, like, I have a lot of life, and I have a lot of love. And so who am I going to be out in the world? What is important to me? And
Mhm.
it's about not really caring what other people are thinking. Other people,
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
people had certain judgments or projections onto me of how I should be, what I should be doing out in the world. And what I very quickly realized, and I had a beautiful friend who gave me, like, within the first day of his passing, she's like, you don't have to navigate this the way people think that you do. You get to decide how you navigate it. And even though I knew that, just having that permission, that external permission of like, yeah, you're right. My journey is going to be very different because of what I know and understand than maybe someone else's. And so that's why I wanted to write the book and share, because, you know, again, people, they get projected onto all the time about what it's going to be like afterwards. And we create our own reality.
We create our own reality and our own chaos during these moments of trying each other, right?
Yeah.
And you said something, and I want to touch on it a little bit and get your thoughts on it, because you said that your friend gave you permission as well, right? And I think that's a powerful thing. I do really think that's a powerful thing, and I think it's a beautiful thing to have people around you that will not only give you permission, right, to be able to navigate that world of grief, but also the world of healing, the world of connection, and things like that. Now, but also, and this is this is what I've been seeing here throughout other people's journeys. Other people's words can actually dictate how you navigate that as well. So you have to be very careful about the individuals who are surrounding you, right?
Very,
And
yes.
and that can get pretty nasty as you begin to navigate it, because you will always think that the people that are around you, or you would hope that those individuals have your best intentions in heart, right? Unfortunately, the people that they were before you went through it is always going to be the people that they going to be after you go through it. You're just in a more sensitive state, and you're more susceptible to lean into those words. And as you said, and I'm speaking from a man myself, those words can take you down a very dark path, and can leave you out to dry. So you have to be careful with that as well. At least, that's those are my thoughts on it, and everything. Now, I could be wrong. Again, because again, I'm only looking at it from the perception of who Tony is, right? I can't speak for everyone else, although I do help men navigate that world. But my thing is, this is your path. I'm only here to walk with you, not to push you in the direction that I think that you need to go, because where I am and the things that I've done may not work for you, and everything. But again, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I did have someone that was fairly close to me in my life that within a week of this happening, I ran
Mhm.
into her in our neighborhood, and she was like, this is going to suck for a really long time. And I was like, actually, for me, that's not my reality. No, it's not.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I had to put a strong boundary there, and I realized very quickly that there were going to be certain people like that were going to be projecting their own stuff. Like, in her
Hmm.
reality, that would likely be the case had she lost her husband. And my situation was very different, and my knowingness was different. And so I did have to put strong boundaries on who was able to come in to my environment. And
Right. Yeah.
my best friend, who happens to live in Olympia, where I was from, she flew out here. She was with me for 3 weeks, and she was my gatekeeper. She was the one who protected my energy field and made sure that anyone who was trying to, like, for instance, okay, so Skip had a twin brother, and his brother, I believe, has survivor's guilt, because Skip tried to
Mm.
call his brother a few hours before it happened and left a voicemail. And his brother didn't get the message until the next morning, and it was already too late. And
Oh, wow.
so he was projecting onto me, well, what was going on? What happened? Why? Like he was trying to put the blame on me, and he
Hmm.
was trying to dictate what I was doing here in terms of how I was doing a celebration of life or not. And, and I'm like, I'm on my own journey. And so my friend Jen, she had to be a very strong gatekeeper with him, which he did not like at
Oh,
all.
I bet. I bet.
Yeah. So I just like one of the things that I write about in the book is really making sure that when you are in this very vulnerable state of grief, that it's important who is in your energy field. Are they people that can hold space for you and really just ask, what do you need? How can I support you, and not just automatically project what they think you need onto you.
Yes, yes. And I'm glad that you said that, because that is part of the things, as since I've been in this field, one of the things that I point out to people, right? Um, if a person invites you into their space while they're grieving and hurting, be a good visitor, right?
Yeah.
And people often look at me and go, "What do you mean, be a good visitor?" Ask them what they need,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you know that they're trying to get rid of you on the phone, be on your way over there. I'm annoying. I'm coming over, and I'm talking to you on the phone because one, I know you haven't eaten anything. Two, I know you probably haven't even showered in a couple of days, so we're gonna have to fix all of that, right? Three, I know your clothes isn't done. I know your dishes ain't done because I've been there before. So when I come into your space, and you allow me into your home, because if I show up at your door, you're going to let me in anyway, right? But I've already showed up with food. I've already assessed the situation and went, you know what? I don't need you catering to me. I'm in your home. Sit
Mm-hmm.
down, grab the remote. Here's some food. Go ahead and put on your favorite TV show. And while we're talking, or even if you don't want to talk, I'm already doing your dishes. I'm already getting your laundry, getting separated so I can go into the wash and everything, because I'm going to help you out. And therefore, you're not taking away from what the experience of what you need in that moment, right? And I'm giving you, in a lot of ways, I'm giving you permission not to cater to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm letting you know that I'm here with you, right? And so I never. One of the other things too is that I never try to start off the conversation, because I don't want it to be about me. I want it to be about the individual that I'm in the space with. I want you to feel comfortable with starting a conversation, and no matter where it goes, I'm still going to be there, right? But the
Right.
fact of it is that I got you in a position to where you don't have to worry about me, right?
Right.
And actions speak louder than words, as they say. Actions definitely speak louder than words. But you also mentioned something too. Survivor's guilt. I see a lot of people going through that. I actually went through it a long time, after my son passed away. I was going, why did he have to go leave so soon? And so, since I was the only one left out of pretty much majority of my family, I was just like, why am I still here? I did, unfortunately, try to unalive myself as well, but it was a sequence of events. After my mother passed away, after my son passed away, 2 years later, my mother passed away. I have no more parents. My younger brother is gone. My son is gone. Everyone that I've known is gone. I'm navigating this world. Um, well, I'm not even navigating it at that moment. I'm stumbling through. I'm falling into walls. I done smacked myself in the head a couple of times because I was like, well, that was dumb. Ain't no sense of doing that. But I've done it anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
I honestly believe, and I wouldn't recommend this for anyone, especially if you have a loved one that you care about. I would say let that individual hit their version of rock bottom. We try to save each other. And I think this is part of the journey of being able to have a deeper connection with those that have passed away, but also understanding the healing that needs to come along with that as well, right? Because unless you really experience and have to go through it, you're not going to understand what it takes to be able to navigate it properly, right? But
Right.
again, that's up to perception as well, right? There's no right or wrong way to do it. But look, I have friends that I've allowed to hit rock bottom just so I can stand there and go, let me know when you get done. Because for the simple fact of, you're not going to learn anything if I keep preventing you from doing it. Now, I don't want you to go out there and do anything bad. I will be there if I see you going, hey, 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 I see you, because of the simple fact of, if you know that I'm seeing you, the possibilities of you taking that next step is going to be very, very small. I'm just making you aware that I'm watching you, right? And
Mhm.
so, and I have had survivor's guilt before, where I beat myself up pretty good about, because I didn't think that I did my job as not only being a big brother, but being a son and being a father, or even being a friend, because of the perception, or the responsibility that you gave me when you was alive, right? So, and I think that plays a huge role in it as well, right? I don't, because you may look at me like I'm the strong person, I'm the one that you can come to at any given moment, right? And so, that can play a lot into it as well, that perception of what you may have of that individual.
Yeah, well, and even some of his friends. So, like with his situation, he had been making plans right before. So it was a Friday night when he did this, and that afternoon he had made plans for golfing on the weekend with his buddies,
Hmm.
to play pickleball, to go running. He had called a handyman to help him switch out ceiling fans for me because it was over his head, so to speak.
Okay.
And he had called a plumber that afternoon to help fix our irrigation. And so he was making all these plans. And so his friends, and he had a couple conversations with his friends too. And so his friends were like, there's more that I could have done. And what he has said from the other side is, no, there's nothing anyone could have done, because
Right.
number one, he was so protective of whatever was going on internally with him. None of us had any clue.
Right.
And like, he was the last person that I would have ever thought to take his life. A few years before, I was having premonitions about that he wasn't going to live a long life, and I didn't understand why. But I thought, okay, well, maybe he's going to create some disease, or maybe he's going to get killed on his motorcycle. But I
Hmm.
never thought it would be suicide. And
Hmm.
and
Okay.
so, like, when he was the life of the party, he's the one, like, he was always this happy-go-lucky guy. And so there isn't anything anyone could have done differently. And that is, I think, an important piece of this, because we think, oh, if I would have just called, or like for his brother, if I would have just picked up the phone, maybe it would have changed. And maybe it would have, but it would have postponed the inevitable, because I know
Right.
we do have different exit points. And what he has said from the other side is he stayed far longer than he had planned to, because
Hmm.
I kept saving him without me even knowing I was saving him. He stayed around longer for me and the love that we had. And so it's very interesting what has come through from that higher perspective, because time doesn't exist. So, like, right away, couple days, he came through and was sharing, it's okay to be happy sooner than later. You don't have to go through years of this processing of grief. And, and I have a few people in my socials, so I'll call them acquaintances, that had husbands die around the same time. And they went through a different kind of process. The
Hmm.
deaths were different. And I think, there's no right or wrong way to do this. Everyone has
Right.
their own timing, their own way of dealing with it. And so it's just more of like, okay, let's allow people their space. And if if someone in our life is stuck, sometimes they need to be stuck. They need to hit the rock bottom, like you're saying,
Mm.
that
Yeah.
they can learn their lessons and gain that wisdom, because that's what we're here to do as humans. That's why we come
Right.
to school, is to learn lessons, gain the wisdom, and evolve and grow. And, and not everyone is meant to be in our life forever. We're the only ones that are permanently in our lives.
Hmm. Now, I'm glad that you mentioned that and everything, because I think, and again, I could be wrong when I say this. I'm only talking from the perception of Tony. right? And the things that I've put together to help me navigate this world in a way to where I became effective in what I do, right?
Mhm.
I know what I'm supposed to do here on this. I know what my purpose is, and my goal is to fulfill that purpose, so I don't have to keep repeating this thing, right? And that's part of one of my belief systems is that with the energy, I think the energy that we have is recycled, what throughout time until we complete what we're supposed to be here for, right? And that could take many, many a times,
Yeah.
because again, time does not exist. It's an illusion, and I think part of that illusion is that we fill it in with expectations.
Hmm.
We fill it in with expectations of this person is going to be here forever, or what I'm saying, we tell ourselves things like, oh well, when we get older, we're going to grow old and we're going to have our kids grow up. But then when reality really sets in, you realize that life doesn't play by those rules. I think the expectation becomes disappointment, and then that disappointment becomes anger, because again, like you said, what is it I could have did? What if this, that, another, right? We begin to contemplate those things, and the reality of it is, you cannot dictate someone else's path.
No.
That person's path, is not yours. I know deep down inside you want to be included in it, but life doesn't work that way. Once in a while, you may get lucky and find that those one or two individuals that will be there with you until it's done and over with, right? And you may be lucky enough to live that long life with those individuals and experience life to its totality. But the reality of it is that there's nothing that says that that's the way it's supposed to be, and
No,
that's a hard reality for most people, right?
it
you
is.
know
It's even similar, like, when I married my first two husbands, I didn't, well, the first one I married him kind of thinking it probably wasn't going to last.
But you did it anyway. We got to
But
talk about this.
I did it anyway. Second one, again, I, I didn't marry him thinking, oh, it's going to end in divorce. And so we never know, like, as from this human reality, what our soul contract agreements are unless we go deep inward and discover what those are. And so that's one of the things that I help clients with, and I've done my own work on this, because when we understand the roles that we come into play for each other, and we have more, from my understanding, we have more than just this one earth life. We are infinite beings. And so in this particular life, I had Skip coming in to play this role of supportive, loving husband, and to help get me here to Hawaii, which I was called to be here. And I wouldn't have been able to get here in the same way that I was able to with his support.
Right.
So that I know that was part of the deal that we had before we came into this earth life. And even with my first husband, that, it was a very rocky, very kind of abusive relationship. I can now thank him. I'm like, thank you for the role that you played for me. And
Yes. Yes.
yeah. And so there's no animosity. I can just love him. Thank you. But set strong boundaries. And thank you
But
for
yeah.
you helped give me my beautiful daughter. Like, there are things that I can be truly grateful for. And I also then understand, okay, we're part of same soul family. So what roles are we going to play for each other next?
Very true. Very, very true. And I love that. I love that you said that and everything, because one of the things that I've really been diving into as I've been on my journey is that the people that I've met along the way. So I've had to remember in order to heal.
Mhm.
And you may not understand it when you're going through it. You're living in a moment with these individuals and not really understanding the role that they may play in your life, in your journey. And so the funny part about it is, I totally agree with what you just said. Looking back on the people who may in that moment have caused the most damage, or you may feel to have caused the most damage. And to find it in yourself once you look at it and see where you are and go, I really thank you for what you did.
Yeah.
And it may be a foreign concept to most people. It's such a foreign concept because the one thing, my son's mother, she's a full-blown narcissist. Full-blown narcissist. Now, she taught me what a narcissist was because I never knew. I just thought that at the beginning, I thought she was just crazy. I was like, hold on, like they actually come like you? Like this? No, like someone tricked me. You wasn't supposed to do that, right? Like you're not supposed to be this person, but you are. And so, to me, I was going, you know what? At some point, I was right. She needed therapy, right? But I didn't understand the extent that she was able to take things, and I think that's what a part that got me. Now, over years, raising my son and everything, I would say having that situation put me in a mindset of I have to be thankful for what she did, because what she did, she stripped pieces of me that I had been holding on to. And at one point in time, I would have tried to run her over with a car, you know. But then I was like, you know what? No, because I had to look at my son, and my thought pattern was, you know what? I have to learn how to forgive her so he don't think that the reaction meets the consequences,
Mm.
right? Sometimes you have to be the other individual that go, thank you for that experience, because now what you did, and what a lot of people don't grab onto, is the lessons that they've been teaching you. Some people would teach you, would teach you how to love, and some people would teach you why you shouldn't love them.
Yeah.
You have to practice discernment. And unfortunately, as a human being, the experience is how you're going to learn that. And so you have to make a decision and go, you know what? I don't like that feeling. Well, guess what? Guess what the lesson was? Now you know what you don't want.
Very much.
Now you don't. When you break up with that individual and that pain sets in your chest, you don't like that, right?
Right. And it's information that then we can be like, okay, yeah, we don't like that.
Mhm.
We can be different now, so that we don't
Yeah.
create that pattern. And that's one thing that I realized that I had been doing throughout my life. So like even with my mother, she was a single mom. I'm her only child. She did not give me attention. I felt very abandoned, and I felt like I had to prove myself to receive love from her. And so what that did, and again, like so she's on the other side now too, and we've had some communication, but I can thank her. I'm like, I know I chose you, Mom. I know I chose you, Dad. Thank you for providing me those lessons of coming back to myself and
Hmm.
understanding that
Hmm.
love is within. It is not external. Love is within, and worthiness is within. And so my relationships were simply a reflection of all the times that I was needing external people to
Hmm.
feel that love and worthiness. And then when I realized, okay, well, I'm the common denominator here, let me rediscover my self love and worth. And then
Yes.
that place, I'm whole, healthy, happy. And that's actually when I met Skip. I had done this deep dive. Like I was a whole, healthy person. I didn't need him in my life. I wanted him in my life. And so even throughout the relationship, I was still that whole person who understood the love coming from within. And so when he exited, I was still my whole healthy self. Like it wasn't the same codependency that it was prior to that. And so really that's one of the things that I do help people do as well, is really come back to themselves, because
I like
then
that.
when you know that you are love, that it comes from within, then even though, yes, our human experiences these sad things that happen and people come in and out of our life, and we still have the capacity then to allow new people and situations into our life. And so that's the point where I'm at now in terms of even just my romantic life. I am at a point where I'm in the dating world again, and it's really interesting to navigate that, Tony.
Good luck with that. Oh my God, that dating world has changed. I would say I learned my lesson on that. Okay, I learned my lesson. I went, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Okay, maybe this is not for me and everything. But I've been pretty fortunate and blessed with the people that I have met. I think I'm at a stage in my life right now to where I understand the attachment aspect of it, right? And what I have learned is that you cannot be too tightly attached to people, places, or things,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Because I think, it's okay to have connection, but also to understand the reality of this individual's life and also yours. You may be on a path, and this person may just be coming in for a temporary drop in, right? To
Right.
have that experience with you. And again, when I say this is all hypothetical. This is all just a theory, right? Um, but I believe that people come into your life um, to pass on information to you,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
The problem,
Everyone is a teacher to
right?
us.
Everyone is a teacher, but you're also a teacher to those individuals.
Yeah.
And so the one thing that I'm always reminded of, especially in my state of meditation, through connection and understanding, is that, you know, just because someone comes into your life, um, doesn't always mean that they don't have a message for you. You may just be misunderstood because the messenger don't look like what you think it should, right? So I never missed an opportunity, even with the homeless people, even with the drug addicts and things like that. I've sat around with these individuals and listened to what they say, and I had to sit back and go, "Huh? You really just did that, huh?" And people look at me and go, "What do you mean?" I was like, "No, I got the message. I caught on to what you were saying, you
Mhm.
know. But I think a lot of times people would get mixed up into the illusion of what a person looks like to them, and so they get wrapped up into their own emotional human emotions and kind of bypass what the message is, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But then they're destroyed when this individual, either leaves a impact on you, so to speak, right? And then you have to sit down and deal with that and go, what could I have done differently? I don't know. Maybe not repeat what you did the first time, because it's not like that it didn't happen to you. You knew that it was going to happen, right? But you set yourself up for it. So, well, like my mother used to always tell me, self-inflicted wounds are the worst ones. But again, these are all theories that I have put together in my head, and in some cases, in a lot of cases, they do work, and in some, I've been corrected on, right? So, and I think that's where, as a human being navigating this world, um, we're missing that thin line that really pushes you into the direction of true understanding and wisdom, but also true understanding of connection and what the act of love is, right? Because love is not a feeling, it's an act,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's an act. And most people, I think, get misconstrued, especially when they're grieving about the act of love, because it may not be something that you're familiar with. Now, saying that, I want to ask a question on top of there. How did you help your children navigate those losses? Because being a single mother, and having to navigate that, your children are impacted too. How did you
They
help them navigate that?
Yeah, they were definitely impacted. So Skip never had biological children, and when he came into my life, my kids were younger. They were 10, like elementary school age.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he never tried to be their dad per se, but he wanted to be their friend. He wanted to be there for him. And so, you know, when we were living in Olympia, he would play basketball with them and take them for ice cream and fly drones and do like spend quality time with them.
Nice.
What he also did was the love that he gave to me, my kids got to see that, which they didn't get to see when I was with their dads. And even the relationships that their dads have had after me, they didn't get to see that kind of love either. And so what he provided for the family was showing what love and support looks like. And he took on them as his own kids, even though he was not trying to replace their fathers. Now, what's interesting is that when they became teenagers, they became little, not fun.
Well, you know, that's part of being an adult.
So when we moved here to Hawaii, my daughter came with us, and my son, he stayed back in Washington with his dad. And so my daughter, where she and Skip had a pretty tight relationship in Olympia, this island stirs stuff up. It's a transformative island. We have the active volcano, the most active volcano in the world, and just that energy of the volcano. Like, this island isn't for everyone because it brings up stuff that wants to be revealed to be healed.
Yes,
and not everyone can hang in that energy. And so, like, for my daughter, she was navigating her own kind of mental health journey back in Olympia, but it got amplified here. And so then what happened was it amplified Skip's mental health stuff as well. And so there was so much of the two of them kind of being mirrors to each other. And I was trying to hold it all together. And so after he passed, you know, my daughter, both of my kids had been really not great to him again right before, because, you know, they were these teenagers doing that. And but after the fact, you know, they both were like, Mom, you know, we really appreciate like how he showed up in our younger life. And, you know, and me, I'm going through my own grieving process, and I wasn't as there as much as I could have been maybe for them. But my daughter, you know, she was already in therapy, so she continued therapy. My son, it took him a good year to be even willing to talk about it. But I just kept the door open, and like, whenever you're ready to talk about this, let's talk. And so showing up as a parent, you know, grieving yourself and then having to still parent, it was interesting. And again, like, I wasn't perfect for sure. I don't think anyone could be. And
no, you're not.
My kids now, they, you know, again, they are like, you know, we can see what a great stepdad he was to us. We can see what a great husband he was to you. So for them, they got information just by us being in relationship with each other.
I like that, because there's a point. And first I want to say hello, Dr. Tina. Thank you for joining in today. If you guys are looking for, if you're a widow and you're looking for support, please go check her out. She's on TikTok and she's doing some amazing work. We're actually going to be doing an event going into next year down in Richmond, Virginia. It's a red carpet event that Dr. Tina put together. Wonderful person. You know, if you guys get a chance to go follow her on LinkedIn, TikTok, all on your platforms and everything, and you know, just be amazed at what she does. She's truly amazing individual. But you said something, you know, especially when it comes down to kids. See, this is one of the things that I'm still learning about children and everything, because as being a man, I can be pretty hard in the lessons that I teach, only because I learned hard. Right. And so this is why my main focus has always been men, because I can appeal to the masculine nature or the masculine thought pattern of men. Like, I know what you're going to do. You're going to try to test me. It's a competition. But just so you know, I will hold my ground, you know, and then when it's all said and done, when we got all the words out the way, I know a little bit more about you. And now you know a little bit more about me. Now we can get past all of that and begin to the respect factor, and begin to open up the doors to have those conversations. Now, when it comes down to children, me, I have a big heart. So, when I see a child hurting or something like that, automatically I'm going, I have to do something to make them laugh, but also to show them that, to show these children that as an adult, I can still see the world through your eyes. I may not totally understand it because I'm in my 50s right now, right?
Mhm.
But the one thing that I have been able to do is that remind myself of when I was with my son, how he allowed me to see the world through his eyes, like the world is a playground. And so climbing trees, swinging on swings, going, getting pushed off and when I say this, I'm not accusing my son that he did it, but I will say I do have my suspicions, pushing people off of the slides. Okay. I don't know why, but I do have a sneaky suspicion that he did have something to do with that. Okay. Um, but also to be able to smile and laugh because the sad memories don't consume me anymore because um I have more memories that made me laugh and smile than I did that made me sad.
Yeah.
The thing was I had to turn it around and go, I had this one moment that changed my life or changed my life in this way, but I have 1,000 different memories to help mold it to where this doesn't have to be the factor, right? I'm
Hmm.
going to remember it. I'm going to honor it. I'm going to embrace the pain that has been given to me, but I'm not going to allow it to control me,
Yeah.
right? I'm going to extract that information because when the pain shows up, there's information within that. This is what we call our storms, especially grief storms, right? That pain that you're feeling is it's something that you haven't healed yet. Pay attention to the memories that is given to you. Yes, I know, Dr. Tina, I can neither confirm nor deny, but I do have my suspicions. Okay, I do have my suspicions. But what are your thoughts on that? And then we're going to get into the book.
Okay. Well, so, with it's so interesting. And this may or may not answer your question, but as you were talking, this is what was coming up is that, like, my son, he is now 17. So this happened when he was 15, 2 days after his birthday, after his 15th birthday. And again, he lives in Washington State with his dad, but he would call me every day and be like, "How you doing, mom? How you doing, mom?" So he became like the nurturing kind of protector of my energy. And what
Mhm.
what I wanted to show both of my kids, I wanted to express my emotions, like show them it's okay to be emotional and to, like, I didn't have to hold it all together for them. I could actually be my authentic self
Mm.
because I wanted to teach them for them to be their authentic selves and that
Okay, okay.
feel these emotions and to share them. And what I ended up doing was, my son, and now again, he's 17, he feels like I am his person that he can talk to about anything
I love
because
that.
I don't judge what he has to say, even though some of the things that he tells me, my mama mind is like, "Oh my God, why did you just tell me this?"
You got to be careful when it comes down to us young men now.
Right. And then, but my coaching, mentoring, unconditional love side is just like, okay, I'd rather him tell me and then I can maybe help guide him in a way that's not dictating to him or being like his dad would be, because his dad cannot take in the information in the same way that I'm able to hold space for him because we have
Mhm.
different understandings, right, of
Yeah.
life and spirit and all of the things. And so, um, yeah, so with both of my kids, it made them grow up a little bit faster,
It
and
does. It
and
does.
they are able to express their emotions, their feelings, and
Mhm.
see the good and the bad of all the things. And like you said, yeah, those beautiful memories are far outweighing anything that happened in the tumultuous teen years.
That's very true. And you know, I love the fact that now, um, I'm starting to see people normalize these conversations that we're having with the people that surround us, but our children and you know and our family members and things like that. It needs to be normalized. We need to have these conversations because the woulda, coulda, shoulda, woulda. I don't want you to have to question, anything. If something was to happen to me. So let's have these conversations now. Which is I'm a huge believer in that because for one um, if I do happen to have to leave this place, right?
Hmm.
I want to be able to leave you with something so you don't have to second guess what my requirements are when I'm gone, right? I don't want you throwing a party for me, you know what I'm saying, or anything like that when my wishes were, hey, go ahead and what I'm saying, celebrate for a little bit, but like we've already said everything that we needed to say. No hard feelings, you know. But I'm also a firm believer in too telling you how I feel about you now. You know what I'm saying? Giving you your flowers now because I may not even show up to your funeral because I've already given you all of that. I've already said everything I needed to do. My goodbyes were, the last words I said to you. Now if I said bad things to you, then these are the things I would have to deal with somewhere down the line,
Right.
because you just never know about those things, right? So one of my rule is that talk to people as well as you talk to yourself as if those individuals are worthy of being loved, right?
Yeah.
If you're somebody that I care about, then I'm going to speak with you in that same manner. So I'm always and I'm always saying leave people better than what you found them because you never know when your last conversation may be with that individual, so leave people better than what you found them.
Yeah.
Now let's get into the book. When did you decide to write your book?
Pretty
Do
much.
you have a copy of it? Do you have a copy of it as well?
Oh, you mean like, yes, actually.
Yeah, that you can show people, that you can come on
I didn't
now,
look from it.
just what you telling people where your book is and carrying on. Look, see, we're gonna fight. I love it. I love it. Ooh, through the loss into light.
Through loss and delight, a journey of grief, healing, and the love that remains.
I love that.
So, I write books. I didn't think I was ever going to be an author, but apparently, this is my seventh or eighth book that I've written. so,
Oh wow. Okay.
so I and because I write what I know, I teach what I know, and
Hmm.
so my first book came out actually back in 2008, but that one doesn't even really, I mean, it counts, but it doesn't. But in my
Well, it
spiritual
all
business,
counts. It all counts. See you over there being modest and carrying on. It don't really count. That was practice.
but in 2018, that's when I wrote my first kind of spiritual based book. And then in 2019, so Skip and I, we got married December 22nd, 2018.
Hmm.
And so in 2019, I wrote a book about our journey of like how I did this deep dive healing after the second husband and all the tools, techniques that I used, and then how I met Skip and the progression of that relationship up
Hmm.
to the time where we got married in Thailand. So that book, Sacred Soul Love, came out in 2019. So I already knew, I thought that that was going to be like the end of the story, right? And
Hmm.
so then when, he takes his life right away, I'm like, I knew there was going to be a book just because I write about the stuff that I go through.
Right.
And
Right.
because I know that writing, it's very cathartic for me, but it also can help other people. And so I knew again right away that I would probably be writing a book. I didn't know when it would come out. But what I was doing is as I was going through these real time emotions. So after my friend Jen left after the first 3 weeks, then I was by myself in the house.
Yeah.
And my daughter, she didn't want to spend a lot of time here at the house. So she was at her boyfriend's most of the time. But I would have all these emotions coming up or these spiritual epiphanies. And so what I would do is I would take my phone and I would voice memo just real time, whatever I was going through, whatever I was feeling. And so I saved all of those, knowing that likely they would turn into part of the book, because I wanted to remember what I was actually feeling in the moment. Because,
Okay.
a couple of years after the fact, we forget what the real nitty gritty emotions were. And
True.
so I wanted that to be very authentic in the book. And I was playing around with, like, okay, I don't even know what the story is. How does it finish? I was waiting for a happy ending. And so
Understood. Definitely understood.
yeah, because I'm like, okay, well, what's the next part of this? Like, how does it end? And so, but back in May of 2025 of this year, I was having a psychic medium reading done. Lisa Williams, psychic medium. She has a podcast, and I was on her show, and so she was reading me for the show. And Skip was right there, coming through very strong, and he told her to tell me to finish the book. And she's like, I can't tell her what to do. And she's like, he's saying finish the book. Do you know what he's talking about? And I said, yeah, the one about him. And so I'm like, well, if he wants me to finish the book, he's got to help me. And so basically that gave me the energy and, like, okay, even though we don't have the happy ending, I don't know how it's going to end, but so it ends as a cliffhanger.
Okay. I mean, you leave that suspense in there as well.
Yes. And so really, so the book, it's about what was going on in our relationship leading up to his death, because we had a beautiful relationship, but we also had our ups and downs. We were a normal couple having our own issues. And as I said earlier, the island was bringing up a lot of stuff in our relationship. And personally, that it was like, okay, are we going to be able to get through this? Are we going to be able to navigate this? And then, because of the work that I do since moving here to Hawaii as a Galactic Ambassador, that was putting a little bit of a wrench in our relationship. And so when he passed, what it did was it fully anchored me into the timeline where, yes, that's what I'm meant to be doing here. This is my soul mission in this time. And he didn't understand it fully, but from the other side, he's like, it's all real. Keep doing what you're doing. And so getting that encouragement of, like, yes, I couldn't hang with you in that reality, but I can help you so much more from the other side. And so really, because that energy doesn't die, and we can receive messages from our loved ones in many different forms. So I wanted people to understand that, because sometimes people think, okay, they're gone and there's no connection anymore. And then that makes it even sadder. But when we understand that the love is always there, the love remains, and we're neutral enough to tap into those messages. And so I've got some different things that I have created to help people in this process that are in this grief, so that they can connect from the other side. So the book starts it off, but then I've got a free healing kit, and then I've got an expanded companion that goes with it. And so I'm trying to provide tools that would have even been helpful for me to have.
I love that, right? Because I honestly believe, as the roles that we've taken on to help others navigate this world, the tools that we have to be real careful. At least I know for some of the people that I know, you have to be real careful that you're not giving tools that work for you. That the tools that you're providing for people are universal, right? They can be used either man, woman, or child, right? They're bilingual. They don't care who you are. You can use these tools, right? It's not directly specified to one gender or race or anything like that. It's specified to a human being, right? So I love the fact that you brought that up, because you're able to provide those tools to people, and they're things that people can use right now. They don't have to wait for, for a special moment. You can actually integrate these things into your life, and be able to mold it to what you need. and things like that. Because instinctively, when we're going through things, you already know what you need. We don't pay attention to that second voice or the energy that's being provided, because your body doesn't want to be in pain, which goes into the comment that my friend Dr. Tina put up here. Sometimes forgetting is a gift. Now, my question would be, because I believe that you're right, but also I want to say, do you really forget? Because, and the reason why I say this is, your body will keep score. Your mind just tucked it away because it wants to keep you safe. It doesn't want to hurt. It doesn't want you to experience any uncomfortability, right?
Hmm.
So do you really forget? Because, and the other reason why I say that too, because when you start to tell your story of your journey, those things that you thought that you forgot will make their way back into your story somehow, some way.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a matter of it coming back up at the right time. And I think, and I could be wrong, but I honestly believe that once you get to a point and you've had the courage um, to be vulnerable with other people, those are the things that come back up that make your story that much more, because it adds that extra to it, or that little bit of oomph, you know, to your journey. And I've had many people sit down with me and go, "Wow, I thought I forgot all about that." You never forgot. Your brain doesn't forget. Your brain is a supercomputer.
Yeah.
Your brain tucked it away so you can focus on what you needed to do, and it came back at the right time.
Right.
But
Yeah.
again, I could be wrong.
No.
Of course, I could be wrong.
Well, I agree with you that we sometimes things get filed into the back of the file
Right?
cabinet,
Yes. Yes.
and when we're
Yeah.
ready or it's time or whatever the energy is, then that'll come back forward. And I mean, it can be childhood traumas that resurface, right? It can be
Mm-hmm.
so many
Mm-hmm.
things. And but the body stores those emotions. And
Right.
like for me, it was really important that I did, and I still continue to clear my energy field, because when we have stuck emotions, that creates disease. It creates illness in our
Very
body.
true. That's
And
very
so,
true.
the more that we are doing this, just healing of our emotions, of our whatever it is, and we're like onions, we get deeper and deeper, and we're
Very
human.
true.
There's still more
Very true.
to uncover, to heal. But for me, that's what, like, I'm here to do that work, and I'm here to help people do that work so that we can live these longer, healthier lives. And, you know, life really, it is a journey. It's not perfection. And yeah, so what's so fascinating too, and I just want to bring this up because, and it has to do with this onion layer kind of idea, is I thought I had fully healed that being unwanted kind of feeling
Mm.
from my childhood. And just this year, just even a few months ago, I was working with my mentor, my coach, and it became very clear in the editing of the book, like all of these feelings were coming up again, and like deeper and deeper layers. And what we realized was that not being wanted resurfaced with his death, because
Mm.
there was a part of me that turned him committing suicide into a story of, I wasn't good enough. I wasn't worthy enough for him to stay alive.
Mm.
I'm not wanted.
I can understand that.
And so it was just another deep layer to look at and to heal and clear, and to return back to myself, like, yes, I am worthy in just the fact that I am even alive here on this earth. I
Yeah.
love, and I'm wanted. I'm wanted by myself. And,
I love. There you go. There
yeah,
you go. That part right there. And I love the fact that you brought that up. And as we begin to wrap this up, I'm gonna make the statement, get your thoughts on it. And because of the simple fact of, um, it's easy for us to get wrapped into a situation and go, was I not good enough for this individual? Right? We personalize it. Well, how come I couldn't be enough for this individual to stay?
yeah,
Right? And that's a very, very difficult place for you to navigate out of, because instead of looking at the whole situation, you somehow put the blame on you, and that can lead you down a very, very, very dark path, right? One that if you're not aware of it, will put you in a situation you may not take the same actions that the other individual did, but you would take similar actions of self-destruction through addiction, through your self-talk, right? That's the main portion right there, because you could tell yourself that you're not worthy all day long, or that that you're stupid or anything like that, and you would convince yourself of it and will act accordingly, right? So
Yeah.
it wouldn't be nothing if someone was to come up to you, you know what, you're just a dumb MFer right now, right? And you would go, you know what, I may be, but that's at least I can accept that. Like, no, 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 and so one of the things when I talk to men, because we're really brutal about when we do that to ourselves, right? We get called broken so much that we begin to believe that we are broken. We act accordingly, and so others become surprised when we act accordingly. You cannot tell me that I'm broken and then expect me not to act broken. You made, already put out the playing field that I'm broken. So I'm not going to disappoint you, right? I'm not going to disappoint you in that way. I'm not going to pretend like I'm not broken. This is what you want. This is what you get. Unfortunately, it goes back to what we said before. People's words can dictate your path. If depending on the relationship that you have with that individual, it can be very influential into how you think about certain things. That's why, one of the many things that I've learned along the way is that I'm an individual. You don't get to dictate what I do.
Yeah.
You don't get to tell me what my path looks like from your perception, because I'm the one at the end of the day who have to walk this path. And if I'm treating myself with the utmost respect and love, then yours is secondary. Yours is secondary. Meaning that even if I don't get a I love you or a hello from someone, when I woke up that morning, I told myself those things.
Hmm.
So I'm not really dependent on what you say to me.
Yeah.
But again, it took me a long time to get to that place as well. Most of the times when we meet people, they're in that space where everything that been piled on for the last 20, 30, 40 years is now coming out in that one moment. So we have to go back and retrace ourselves, and help people rewire their mindset of how we treat ourselves and how we talk to ourselves. Now you can give your thoughts on that, if you would like to, and everything. And then after that, I have a couple more questions for you.
Okay, well, so the one thing I just want to say is it's taken me a long time, and I finally feel like I've really gotten it. Is that what other people think of me is none of my business,
There you go. There you
and
go. Yeah.
is that, and I'm like, okay, what, you have different perceptions of how I'm doing life, and as long as you're not walking in my shoes, you don't know my journey, and though I am here to be love, like I'm here to share love, to be unconditional love. And so that's how I show up.
There you go. Now I got a couple more questions for you as we begin to wrap this up. And first, I want to say thank you for joining me today and having this such amazing conversations. For everyone out there who's been tuning in, thank you guys for tuning in as well. And if you haven't already, head on over to that YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, so that you'll be notified every time that we drop a new episode. But mostly, I also wanted to share too that I did start a graphic novel, The Adventures of Grief Guide, which is on YouTube as well. So go over there, check it out. I got songs to it and everything. I'm having a lot of fun. And we have some more exciting news coming up. The Global Grief Conference next year is coming up as well. So be tuned for that. It is a 3-day virtual event, and we're presenters from across the world, and we're adding in more stuff. So that will be the Madison Square Garden of all grief conferences. So you might want to tune in for that. It's going to be freaking amazing. All right. So now my next question to you, Dr. Lisa, is if you had a superpower, what would it be?
Oh man.
Yeah,
There's so many. Well, one that I would love to be able to do is biolocate, teleport.
Understood. I definitely understand that. Hey, I'm getting out of here. I'm out. You ain't got to deal with me. No, I'm on my own.
Yeah, I'm a traveler.
Hello.
If I could
Yes.
travel instantly like that instead of having to fly on airplanes, I'd be very happy. That's a funny one. But yeah, so we're just going to go with that.
Okay. Terrain says, hello, Tony and Lisa. Blessings to you both. Happy New Year's, my friend. He's another great podcast host as well. I would love to connect you with him if you want to be on more
I,
podcasts.
I,
Terrain is freaking amazing. That's my brother from another mother. All right.
yeah.
Like just like Dr. Tina, she's my sister from another mother, right? Yeah. But we're one huge happy family as well, right? Because we all come from a place of rebuilding our lives after traumatic losses or trauma as well.
Mhm.
So I guess my next question to you would be, how can people find you?
Well, so for those that are currently in the grief process, I do have that free gift of a healing companion, and you can find that at thelovethatremains.com. And then for all my other services and products and all the things, I'm at drlisajthompson.com or mysticmanta.com. And I'm
Mhm.
on Instagram and Facebook. And please, yeah, please like
Yeah.
me, all the things.
Definitely gonna follow you. Follow guys. Go and check her out. Her information is in the description in the YouTube channel. All her information is there. Go follow her on her social media contents. Check her, and connect with her as well. I'm gonna also connect you with a couple other people. Just to put that introduction out there and let you guys do your own thing. And so I guess my next question would be, if you could leave the audience with something, what would you leave them with?
Just know that even though the physical body does perish, that energy is still there. Like we can
Mhm.
tap into these other realities and we can really receive messages and guidance from our loved ones that are on the other side. And we are all multidimensional beings, so are they. And so, even though maybe in whatever paradigm, yes, they've already perhaps reincarnated or in another life, but their energy is still there always.
Yes,
The
yes.
time. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. For everyone who have been tuning in, hopefully you guys enjoyed the conversation. We have a lot more coming into the 2026. For you guys that are going out there celebrating tonight, do me a favor, be safe, right? And have fun, but most importantly, be safe, okay? Because going into 2026, we would like to see everybody come join us and everything and share your experience about what you did for the New Year's. And with that being said, guys, you guys know who it is. This is going to end this episode of the Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. Tune in later. I got some more things coming, not on the podcast, but tune in on my social media. You guys will see what I'm doing out there and everything. Dr. Lisa, thank you again for joining the show. For everyone else out there, thank you for the love and support. Share this with other people out there as well. Let's get let's get it out there. And you guys already know, if I'm associated with you or you're a colleague and we're connected, I'm supporting you as well. Okay. And with that being said, guys, well, I love you. Happy New Year. We're going to see you guys in the new year coming. Connect with Dr. Lisa. Dr. Lisa, did you send me the links to your books as well?
They're all on Amazon. That's the best
Okay.
way.
All
They're
right.
on my
And
website too, but if you have
okay.
Amazon Prime, then it's faster that way.
Okay. Hey guys, go grab your book and everything and connect with her. And with that being said, guys, I love you. Have a great new year. We're gonna see you guys in the next one. And as always, be sure to tell the people that you love the way that you feel about them because tomorrow's not promised. All right. And I will see you guys in the next one.